We are working in the Gaddis 9th edition, and we are going to talk about Chapter 11, Enumerated Data Types. It might be in a different chapter in your textbook, but this will give you another exposure to enumerated types. An enumerated type is a data type that is a programmer-defined data type, so you define it, you create it. It consists of values known as enumerators, which are basically represented by integer constants. So, well, we'll talk about it. So let's take a look at some examples. In order to declare an enumerated data type, you use the keyword enum, and then you name the data type with a capital letter is the convention. And then you literally use words. So like this enumerated data type is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Please notice the curly braces beginning and ending, and then this ends with a semicolon at the end. The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are named with all capitals because they're going to be representing kind of like a constant value, okay? And then they all represent the values that belong to the day data type. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are all days that we recognize. So this is now a data type for the days of the week. When I use this, these are not strings, so you can't compare them with double quotes. They actually have an integer value. They are identifiers, which means it's a variable. Once you've created an enumerated data type, you can define the variables of that type. So now I could create workday to be of type day, and I could set my workdays in my calendar. This statement defines workday as a variable of the type day. So I know workday is going to be one of those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We can assign any of the enumerators to a variable data type. So I could say workday is assigned Wednesday, workday is assigned Friday, workday is assigned Monday. If you happen to work a Saturday, Sunday, you'd have to change your enumerated type and allow for that. So when we say that it's an enumerator, think of it as an integer named constant. So the compiler assigns an integer to those values beginning at 0. So it's like arrays. It starts with 0 indexing. So Monday has a value of 0, Tuesday a value of 1, Wednesday a value of 2, etc. And that's why they're named with all capitals, because they're basically given a constant value in memory. You can change the initial values, like if you wanted Monday to start at 1, you could do that. I don't know if this textbook actually shows us how to do that, so if you're interested in that, you'll have to Google it. But then when you use the day declaration, if I output capital Monday, I get 0, capital Wednesday, 2, etc. You're going to get the integer, not a string. You cannot directly assign an integer value to an enum variable. So you cannot assign workday 3. You would have to say workday is assigned. If you want 3, that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. To be Thursday, you'd have to say workday is assigned Thursday. You can, however, use a casting operator, it says here. I haven't ever done this, but you can say static cast bracket day 3. So workday could be cast to be a 3. You can assign a numerator to an integer variable. So I could say I have an integer variable x, and x is assigned Thursday. And this actually is used when we process loops. We'll show you that in a minute. So this code would assign 3 to x. And if you could also do this all in one line. You could say int x is assigned capital Thursday, and that would also work. When you compare enumerated values, it's kind of nice because you can just use your regular comparison operators, greater than, equal to, greater than or equal to, double equals for the equal to, etc. Okay, and Friday is going to be considered greater than Monday because Friday has a higher integer value than Monday. This is an example of a program that uses enumeration. What's really cool when you use enumeration is your code becomes a little bit clearer, because I can say I want my array to go from Monday through Friday, and it processes from 0 through 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is, to me, the real power with using an enumerated type. It makes your code much cleaner to read. Again, they're using from Monday through Friday on the for loop to do an accumulator here. and then it prints out. Now when it prints out the day, please notice that it prints out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It does not print out the actual name of Monday, Tuesday. Now that one right there is maybe a downfall because it might be nice to say for day, Monday, day, Tuesday, depending on what we want to do. So in this particular example, this is going to say enter the sales for the day. I think that's what this one was running. And an anonymous enumerated type is simply one that does not have a name. So for example, in program 1110, we could have declared the enumerator as follows. I've never used that, but they have an anonymous enumerator. You can use math operators with enum variables because they are considered constants. So you could define 2 day variables. You can say day 1 is assigned Tuesday, but you cannot say day 1 plus 1. You cannot, okay? The third statement won't work because the expression day 1 plus 1 results in an integer value of 2, and you cannot store an integer in an enum variable. So day 2 is an enum variable, and you can't assign it an integer variable. You would have to do this casting, is what you'd have to do in order to do that. If you're going to use an enum to step through arrays, so sales Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, again, this makes your code much easier and cleaner to read, and so that would be an advantage to using enums. You also have, though you cannot use the ++ operator on an enum variable. So if you were doing workday is assigned Monday, workday is less than or equal to Friday, workday ++, workday here is defined as a day variable, so it's going to, I think, throw an error here, is what that's saying. Okay, how do we do that? You have to say something like for workday is assigned Monday, workday less than or equal to Friday. You'd have to use that static cast again. Okay. Now if we go back up, let's scroll back up to where they use that for loop up here. The reason that we didn't run into that problem up here is index would be declared as an integer. So it's saying index is starting at 0, index is going through less than or equal to Friday, and then the incrementing index. Down here, the difference is that they declared that loop variable to be of an enumerated type right here. So workday is an enumerated type, so it's not going to work to go through that for loop unless you use the static cast to work that out. Okay. And we're getting close to being done here. So enumerators can be unique within the same scope. Enumerators must be unique within the same scope. For example, an error would result if both of the following enumerated types are declared within the same scope. So if I have presidents and then vice presidents, Roosevelt would be considered to be declared twice. So it's not going to accept that unless they say it's strongly typed. So how do you do strongly typed? It's available in C++11, and so you would have to, it looks like, allows you to have multiple enumerators in the same scope with the same name. You'd have to prefix the enumerator with the scope resolution operator, so you'd have to say presidents : Roosevelt or vice presidents : Roosevelts. So you'd have to tell it which enum you are actually working with. Declaring the type and defining the variables in one statement. Those are just some additional examples of declaring an enum car. And then you have sports car as a particular example. So this code declares car data type and defines the variable named sports car. So you can do both on one line if you would like. That's an introduction to enums. Probably to me the most useful is to actually use it as something like this to make your code more readable. And so actually I prefer the other type of for loop where we don't have to worry about the casting, like right here. Index is Monday through Friday. The other one would be working with arrays. So if I scroll back down to that arrays example where we have right here, sales bracket Monday, sales bracket Tuesday. This makes it very clear what sales I'm getting in for what days. So that to me is the advantage of using enumerated data types.